Oh, here we go. There we go. Boom. We're back. Just like that. Just like that. So I don't want to give anybody, I don't want anyone to have the impression, my friends, that, oh my God, well, Jose can do it because he's got all these assistants. No, that's not true. I started going after assistants because I wanted to take on bigger roles. But it was, in the beginning, it was just me with my wife, right? My wife and I. Man, I cannot even done any of this without my wife. First of all, but she's me, right? She's not an assistant. We're doing this together. So what I'm trying to say here is, look, when I first started, it was like it was learning about not time management, but multiplying time. Okay, multiplying time. How fast could I move in the tasks that don't need me? By the way, I have a workshop. I think is it free? I don't know. It's not free. It's free for the people that are subscribed. I guess it's not free, but it's part of your subscription. It's in there about time. How to utilize time so that you can really so that you can move harder. Because the number one challenge that you face as an artist when you're starting out is it's just you. So how are you going to do it? And so I believe there's really three stages. The first one is you're trying to figure out how to work your time, which is time management. Very quick, you find out that time management is for managers, not for entrepreneurs. And so you move from time management to before you move on to the multiplying time. You move on from time management to multiplying time. How can I multiply time? And the fastest way that I found out how to multiply time was to make my days longer and my tasks shorter. So if I needed to get back to someone or follow up, I would be like, okay, you got 15 minutes. Go. I used to carry a timer with me, like a kitchen timer, and I'd be like, okay, 15 minutes, follow up, go. Follow up where? Oh my God, what do I do? Okay, no, follow up on email. Boom, 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 boom. 15 minutes. And if you focus 15 minutes hard on any given task, you start getting really sharp. And that's just how I started doing it. And hands down, it's the best way. But if you want to scale, okay, if you're like a very entrepreneur mindset type of person, and you're thinking about not just getting paid for what you do, but you're actually thinking about scaling, which is what I love thinking about. You start thinking about scaling, then you're gonna have to start buying time. And buying time is simply hiring, right? You're hiring. You're gonna have to start hiring people. But because time management tries to break things down into the idea of time management, I just don't like it because it tries to break down the idea of, oh my God, I have a schedule, and then you open your book or whatever on your phone and you're like, okay, from 5 a.m. to 5:15 I got to do this, and it, to me, it's not fluid. It's not. It doesn't. What if I have something very important, an opportunity, a commission, or something that pops up that actually needs me to break that, and I have to break that. As long as I don't break the nitty gritty stuff, there's about 5 nitty gritty stuff that you have to do every single day. You know, painting, listing work, packaging work. 5 very important tasks. It's not necessarily 5, but you know, for me it's 5. For most people, it's about 5. Very, very important stuff that you just cannot. The day must. Like, I don't care if you stay there till 2, 3 in the morning. You're gonna get those freaking things done because it has to get done. As long as those things, you don't mess with those things, you're golden. And so that's why I don't play around with managing time. I try to multiply time. How can I multiply time? How can I multiply this? How can I jump from activity to activity so that it gives me the illusion that it's actually that I'm moving faster, but what I'm really doing is I'm getting time. See, the whole thing is about going to the future, grabbing it and bringing it to you. That's really the formula. So let me explain a little bit more on that. What I mean by going to the future, grabbing it and bringing it to you is doing a very simple formula like, hey, how long does it take me before I sell a commission? And usually most people are like, oh yeah, I have to go on Facebook, I have to go on Instagram, I have to go do a YouTube video, and on and on. And if you break it down, most people are like, yeah, it takes me about a month to do a commission. Well, what I learned how to do is like, okay, why does it take me a month? Does it take me a month because people are sitting there waiting and not making up their minds? Or does it take me a month because in order to do all of these tasks that I do, it takes a month before I finish them? Okay? I'm giving you a huge gold nugget here. So if it takes me a whole month to do all of these tasks, can I do all these tasks in a week and bring that month forward to me? This has been the single most important thing that I learned in business, bringing time to me. If it takes me a month, can it take me a week? And so when I started learning how to do that, I went from selling a commission once a month to once a week, to once a day, to 3 times a day, to 5 times a day. Commissions started flowing because I understood that principle of grabbing time and bringing it forward. You can't do that with a lot of stuff. For example, you can't do, if you exercise, it doesn't matter if you right? Maybe you can do it, but not as much, right? It doesn't matter if you run 10 miles a day. You might not be able to bring time forward that much faster. But with physical stuff, you can. Because there's restrictions, right, in the body and the way people eat and all that stuff. And even then, I'm sure people can. That's how Hollywood actors do it, right? When is the part? Oh, in such and such months. Oh, okay, in 3 months you have to look ripped, right? That's bringing time forward. By the way, this is the kind of stuff that I'm going to be, and I'm gonna go deep into it. This is the kind of stuff that I'm gonna be teaching in my monthly subscriptions. For those of you who are more ready to go into business, more business oriented, and you're thinking about, hey, maybe I can actually turn this thing into a career, or maybe this thing is a career for me, and I need to take it further. I need to make a jump. For most people, when you're starting out, the quantum leap is very accessible. Okay, I know this sounds a little bit more businessy. The quantum leap seems it's more accessible, but most people can't see it. And what I mean by a quantum leap is that the progress, the distance of progress in the beginning, it's a quantum leap. It's super. It's like right next to you, but most people can't see it. Then what I'm trying to say is that when you go from making $1,000 a month to making $10,000 a month, that leap is right next to you. It's like so damn close. It's like your nose is right here and it's right here, but you can't see it. Because there's all this stoppers, all these things that I'm not gonna do that. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, I shouldn't do that. But it's right here. Now, when you start earning the 10,000K a month, let's say selling your artwork, the next leap would be 11,000, 12,000, blah blah blah, right? But in order to make another quantum leap from 10,000 to 100,000, it's a little trickier, because now it's about scale. It's about a whole different type of scale. But the first quantum leap, the first jump, it's right next to you, because the scale doesn't require all of these people around you. The scale can happen by yourself. You can do it on your own. Virtually, you can do it on your own. The scale is different when someone is earning, I don't know, 10K and they want to earn 100K. The scale is a little bit different. And people that are probably earning more of that selling their artwork might say, no, it's not different, it's the same. But it's because it's got to do with fear now. From 10,000 to 100,000, now you're talking about how much ad dollars are you going to spend? How much on Facebook ads are you willing to spend? You're playing with what you gained, and so that creates fear, and that's why people don't make those jumps. But in the beginning, there's nothing you've gained yet, so the quantum leap is like right next to you. The jump is so easy because you're not losing anything to go gain the first return. Now, when people tell me, "Hey, what's up? I sell Facebook ads," or I'm a marketing consultant, and they come to me, I'm a little bit more afraid because now I'm earning a little bit of more income, so I'm more afraid. I'm like, wait a minute, what are those? What are the metrics on that? Like I'm not just me, everybody. You start becoming a little bit more afraid because now you're afraid of losing. And it's stuff that I can't control. I physically can't control anymore. In the beginning, I can control how many hours I'm willing to work, how many people am I willing to go and talk to, how many follow-ups, how many paintings I'm able to do. I can control this. But if I wanted to scale this, I can't paint more. There's only so much I can paint. So now I have to pivot, and the scale has to go somewhere else. It can't go like, oh yeah, I'm going to paint from 6 in the morning to 6 p.m. I'm going to paint for 12 hours, which is what I started doing, right? I can't do that anymore because there's not enough hours in the day. So the scale can't go that way anymore. The scale has to go somewhere else. You start hitting ceilings in certain areas, and the only way to get out of those ceilings is to pivot. And usually it has to do with marketing dollars, or it has to do with hiring more people. The answer is always more, but it's always there's always some fear involved in there, because now it's not like oh yeah, I'll just put 2 more hours of work. Now it's this is going to cost you 20 grand of Facebook marketing dollars a month. Are you willing to do it? And it's not guaranteed. And you're like, whoa, hell, hold on, wait, let me see, let me think about this. So you start going in circles. I hope what I'm saying makes any sense for those of you who are more on the business end of being an artist. I know not everybody is looking for that. Not everybody wants is looking to make a living doing this. But for those of you who are, this is some of the stuff that I will be talking about in our subscription videos. And we're gonna go full in depth into this stuff. So I hope that I'm making sense. To you guys out there. It's a little different, right? It's like wait a minute, this guy was talking about paintings earlier, he was talking about Cezanne, and now he's talking about scaling and all these other shit. He's talking about all kinds of nonsense now. What the hell happened? If you guys have any questions right now, feel free to post them. I am painting and watching the comments. Someone told me what was the trick to paint and watch the comments, and I was like, put the phone in front of you or right next to you. I don't know. There's no trick to it. Someone told me, dude, how do you do that? How do you paint and read the comments at the same time? I'm like, the phone is right next to me. It involves a lot of stuff, but it's simple stuff. It's just that it's so much stuff that it could be thought of. Oh my God, do I need to figure all this stuff out? Of course not. Of course not. It's just. I think all of these topics are going to have their. I wouldn't want anyone to get overwhelmed with that because it's not worth it. All of these topics have their time and place. I just wanted to give a little sneak peek of what we're going to be talking about. But all the comments have their time and place. All the topics, I mean. Do I plan ahead what I'm going to paint? Yeah, for the most part. For the most part, I keep a very large idea file, and so the night before I somewhat plan what I'm going to be painting, and it never looks like what I'm going to paint, but it's there so that I can look at it when I need to. But it's like one of those things that I said earlier. I'm always taking photos with my phone anywhere I am of something that I like or something that I'm always taking photos, and I just download them to my laptop. And I create files, and so I have files of photos, and I used to do this a lot more back in the day. I don't do it as much, but I do keep a very large file of ideas, including magazines, including, I mean, all kinds of stuff. Artwork that I like from famous artists, from living artists. I don't care, anything to move my creative juices, anything to get me inspired and look at things differently. You know, maybe I'm painting something, but because I have all these ideas spinning, I don't go and look at them and be like, I'm gonna paint this. No, I have them there, and I just kind of scan through them, and I let my own creative juices filter them. It's a little trick that I learned how to do as time went by, because I paint so much that keeping a very large, very, I'm talking about thousands, okay? I'm probably hundreds of thousands by now. Very, very large ideas. Because the very first excuse that we come up with to not paint is I don't know what to paint. And so I don't allow myself those excuses, because I'll just go and I'll be like, no, I can paint something. And, oh, but I already painted it. I painted it before. I don't want to paint it again. I go through those things too, just like I'm sure most other artists. And so by having so many ideas, I go, yeah, well, I painted those flowers before, but I don't think I painted them with this technique. I don't think I painted them moving them around. I don't think I painted them in different colors. And so I have all these things that I can play with. And that's how I do it. I mean, thousands, including my sketches. I've drawn thousands of sketches, and I put them in files, and I use them. The combo for the gray is purple, and I think it's purple and red. Give me a second, guys. I gotta close this door over here. go close the big roll-up door. How do I file them by subject? Yeah, I have so many different files. I used to file them by subject, but I don't file them by subject anymore. I file them by groups. I create groupings. I start filing them by subjects and by color scheme and by theme. I mean, there's so many ways that I file them. Right now, I'm filing them because of what I'm doing right now and this part of my career. I file them by grouping, so I create collections. Oh, this would be an awesome collection, and I put basically, guys, what I do today, different than what I used to do maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. What I do now is that I am constantly curating collections of ideas. That's what I do. I'm constantly curating collections. That's what my when people tell me, oh my God, you never run out of ideas. Oh, it's so genius. It's beautiful. You always have all these ideas. It's because a good chunk of my leisure time when we're sitting there watching TV for an hour, I'm not watching TV, I'm listening to the TV, but I'm curating a collection. That's what I do. When I'm sitting there waiting on something, I went to the store and I'm sitting in the car or something, I'll use that time to curate a collection, to add to my curated collection. What do you think about Pablo Picasso's quote, "Good artist copy, great artist steal"? I think that was on point. It's very true. That's essentially what we all do. When people are like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to paint," what do? We go and we look at other people's paintings, and we're like, "How would I paint that in my own way?" Because none of us want to get, caught copying someone. So we're like, well, how would I paint this? If I could paint this, how would I do it? And I mean, that's what every artist does. The really good ones do it in such a way that there's no trace of someone else's work. That is how I do my painting photography. Yeah, that's I mean, most of my day is painting, running around. A lot of my days running around, shipping stuff, closing deals, either from someone else who's selling my work or commissions or whatever. And putting out fires. I haven't got my painting yet. What happened? That kind of deal. My wife and I are we do a lot of that shit. I don't like it, but it's part of business. So it's part of it. I don't see it as good or bad anymore. I'm like, okay, well that's the cost of business. But a very good 1 to 2 hours, sometimes even more, I'm curating work. If you add it up, I don't do it like in a sitting, but I'll be like, it's always in the back of my mind, because it's extremely important for me to have fresh work. If I have fresh work, not only do my collectors appreciate it, I appreciate it because it makes me want to show up and work. Many times when you don't want to work, it's also because you don't like anything of what you're going to paint. Maybe you become too repetitive, and so, by the way, the way to alleviate that, it's not just to go curate work. That's not how it works. It helps, but the way to alleviate that is to show up more often. You don't alleviate that by by going and thinking about it, right? Like, oh my God, Jose's curating his work. I'm going to curate my ideas too. You should definitely do that, but don't rely on it, because if you rely on it, all of a sudden you start thinking too much about how to curate your work and it becomes a living hell. So I don't rely on any of it. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to curate my work, but if I woke up and I forgot, or I drank the night before, I went out, to a bar with my wife or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, I don't want to do anything. Oh my God, I forgot. I didn't curate any work for today. I don't go, oh, well, I guess I'm not painting today. No, I'll go and I'll paint anything. Because it's far more important to show up, even if you don't have great ideas, than to wait till you have great ideas. But it does help if you have some really nice ideas. It does help. It helps a lot. What helps more than anything is showing up. Okay? If you don't stop showing up, you become a killing machine. The problem is when you paint for 2 days and then you stop for a day, and then you paint for three straight days, and then you stop for a week, and that's when you start having problems, because you're doing all this up and down stuff, and you don't really get to a point where you start cracking your creativity. You got to crack that creativity, and that creativity only cracks through execution, through being there and doing work, even if you don't think it's great work, even if you don't think they're great ideas. If you're there, you're gonna crack. It's going to crack, and all of a sudden you're going to start having all these ideas that you never had access to, because I call it cracking. You crack that resistance. Let's see. Olga says, I did one if your challenge paint for only 30 minutes in a different style. It was great. Never thought it would be possible for me to do. Yeah, when you challenge yourself like that, huh? You do some different stuff. Now I don't spend 2 to 3 days painting. Nice. And shipping internationally, is it a pain? No, it's not a pain. You just got to keep track of everything. Things happen. The most important part about, if you're going to go into it as a business, if you're going to start thinking how I can monetize this, how I can sell my work online and whatnot, if you're going to start thinking that way, the most important thing to think about is see yourself as a business, not an artist. That's probably going to be the most helpful piece of advice I can give you. Don't look at yourself as an artist who's selling their work. Look at yourself as a business who happens to have the artist, the manufacturer, right? The artist, the manufacturer, in the same place, in the same building. Because I think, okay, these are just my 2 cents. I don't. This is not where my strong suit. Like I'm not a great. I just make a living doing this. So I don't even think I should be talking about like business, or because I'm not like this business. I'm just making a living. But I found it very helpful to look at it as a business. That's what I'm trying to say. And so, because you have to have a very thick skin, sometimes you lose paintings. Not you, but the post service. Sometimes paintings never arrive. And then 5 months later, they arrive to you, and you're like, oh my God, what happened? And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Sometimes the paintings arrive, but arrive with a hole right in the middle of them. And sometimes the patrons are okay with it, and sometimes they're not. By the way, the more the patron pays, the more understandable they are. I cannot stress this enough. If you're having patrons that are paying almost nothing for your work, for whatever reason, you're running a special or whatever, it is very hard to satisfy those people. The more they pay, the happier they are. I don't know why. I maybe ask a psychologist. I've proven this over and over and over again. The more understandable, the more patient they are. When you tell them, oh, you know what, I have a back order on that frame, this is happening, 9 out of 10, they're like, oh my God, don't even worry about it. I love your work. It's just an honor to get your work, and that kind of deal. You get that kind of deal from good paying patrons. A patron that doesn't pay well for whatever reason, whether you're auctioning work or this is not always, by the way, but this happens. This is a rule of thumb. Or you're selling something in order to get customers in, maybe you run a special or whatever. You tend to get people that they behave differently. By the way, it's not the person. I almost forgot to say this. It's not the person. Their behavior changes, because sometimes it's the same person. I had someone pay $30 for a painting, and I lost it. The postal service lost it, and went bananas on me, like super bananas, like angry, like cuss words and all kinds of stuff. And I forgot about it, right? I forgot about it. My wife is the one that doesn't let them buy from us anymore. She puts them on this list, and they, like, my wife is she's very tough on them. But I forgot about it. And a year later, that same person bought a $2,000 painting from me, and it arrived late. FedEx took its time with it, and it arrived like 4 days late. The person was so nice, so understanding. I mean, this has happened to me many, many times. This is not just one incident. So many. The behavior changes. The more they pay, the nicer they are. I think there's something about value, because they feel like, well, this is of value, so I can understand. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's just the behavior changes. And sometimes the patron changes too, depending, right? Like the same people that buy from me on eBay are not the same people that are buying on eBay. On eBay, they're paying more. It's not the same people that are buying commissions. The people that buy commissions from me, the people that buy a $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 commission, it's not the same person that is trying to win a $30, $50 auction on eBay. Sometimes it is, but almost never the same person. Who do you shop through? Who do I shop? I don't quite understand the question. You think you can? By the way, there's nothing wrong. It's not like, oh my God, people that buy auctions. Of course not. The opposite is also true. I had people that buy buy auctions because they're being introduced to my work, or they simply like it and they like to collect it that way. I have plenty of patrons that buy work that way, and they're amazing, wonderful people. But sometimes I have the same patron that will buy at auction, and then finds out that I offer commissions, or that I offer larger work at set prices, and they go and buy a larger work, and then they go back to buying auctions, and vice versa. Like, all I'm trying to say is that the behavior of the patron changes through payment. Just a second, guys. I got to take a phone call. Sorry about that, my friends. I had to take a phone call. So it's just a matter of understanding the different behavior. By the way, also people behave differently in different platforms. I've had people that have bought from me on Etsy that will go and buy something on either Cherish or through my email list, and a completely different behavior depending on the platform. What I mean by different behavior, different needs. Different needs. For example, on eBay, they want it yesterday. Like, give it to me now. It's kind of like Amazon. If the painting arrives a little bit late, you get in real trouble with most people, unless they paid a lot more. But if the same person is buying something on Etsy, they're more understandable that it takes a little bit more time to get to you because they're not linking speedy shipping. So I hope I'm not getting people spinning their heads in this conversations. That's why I wanted to create this monthly membership that I put together, because there's so much to share. This is the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to share. And I'm telling you, artists out there are not sharing this stuff because, one, many of them are not doing it, and the ones that are doing it don't necessarily don't like sharing stuff. They don't. It's not their gig. You know, they don't think about that kind of stuff. That's how I was most of my career. I was like, why am I going to make videos about this? Why do I want to go out of my way to do this when I could just focus on my work? And if someone wants to find that out, they can go find out on their own through experience and time and the way I did it, you know. But as time went by, I thought, you know what, I think I do need to show up and share this stuff. And as I started doing YouTube videos, I started noticing the necessity to share more stuff. And that's why I started coaching. And as I started coaching, I noticed the necessity of sharing even more stuff, because most people they're not gonna grab all the details through an hour session in coaching, unless it's something very specific, which is what really coaching is for, something very specific. But most of the time people are afraid of coaching because they don't even know what questions to ask, you know. So that's why I encourage people that want to do coaching with me. I tell them, hey, prepare a list of ideas, questions, what you're doing, what do you want to do, where do you want to take the business or your art business, your career to, and whatnot. And so that I have a really good idea and I can help you ask the questions, because most of the time this happened to me also. This continues to happen to me when I get coaching from one of my mentors. I don't even know what question to ask. I go in thinking I want to ask a certain question, and it turns out that I don't even know what the question is. All I know is I want a result, but I don't even know the question. And so it's very helpful to know the question. It's something that I learned from Tony Robbins. I know Tony is like old school on this, but he's the OG, you know. I learned this from that cat. Ask the right question. If you want higher quality answers, it has to be higher quality questions. What do you guys think? Am I going bananas here, or is this going to be helpful? All right, my friends, I think that's about that. Thank you so much. I gotta do a couple of commissions before I go home. And I'm gonna listen to some music because I've been talking a lot. I've been talking for 2 straight hours, non-stop. Man, I'm a talker. So there it is, my friends. If you guys have any questions regarding any of this stuff, or if you want to join my monthly membership, it's only $20 a month, and you start getting everything that I know. I'm going to be teaching everything that I know. There's about, I think, 11 or 12 workshops there already that I uploaded, and I'm going to upload 2 more this weekend. If you want to know about it, make sure to DM me, and I'll send you a link. Basically, it's just everything that I know. It's going to be uploaded. It's going to be uploaded in video workshops and PDFs and in live calls. and we're going to be uploading 2 every month, 2 more every month, and it's going to be awesome. We're barely getting started, and I know it's going to be awesome. And it's just $20 a month. Some of those classes are 300. Some of those classes are 300 bones. Some of the information there is worth at least $300. At least some of the information there. When I do coaching, people pay me $300 an hour. Some of the coaching is more like, hey, dude, how do I take this to $100K a year? That's $900 a session, and there's people paying for that because there's a couple of serious cats out there that are doing it a bit more aggressive, and they're willing to pay a bit more. And so I'm going to be including that type of information in the monthly subscription. So it's all I can tell you. It's pretty cool. So there it is, my friends. Take care. Peace out.